Have you ever noticed how someone can go from being all in, calling, laughing, making plans, to acting like you never existed? No argument, no goodbye, just silence. One moment you're everything, the next you're invisible. At first it feels random, confusing. You start overthinking, blaming yourself, wondering if you said the wrong thing or missed a sign. But let's be clear, when someone suddenly ignores you, it's not an accident. It's intentional. It's a silent decision they made without your input, and without the courage to explain why. And here's where it gets real. People don't always pull away because you did something wrong. Often, they disappear because you started doing something right. You grew. You leveled up. You stopped playing small. And that shift? It makes certain people uncomfortable. Your growth threatens the comfort of their stagnation. They liked you better when you were easier to predict, easier to control, easier to use. Some people stick around only as long as they can benefit from you. Others keep close until your confidence starts to shine too bright. Then suddenly they're busy, distant, cold. You didn't lose them. You outgrew them. So if you're being ignored right now, don't panic. Don't chase. Don't shrink. The silence isn't just rejection. It's revelation. It's life showing you who's real and who was only there for the version of you that needed them. You're not falling apart. You're waking up. And once you understand the real reasons behind these sudden disappearances, you stop taking them personally and start seeing them as what they truly are, necessary. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will change how you see every person who ever went silent on you, and why their silence might be the best thing that ever happened. If this message opened your eyes or gave you clarity about why people suddenly start ignoring you, then don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone out there is blaming themselves for silence they didn't deserve. Like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can understand the truth and stop shrinking for those who couldn't handle their growth. And in the comments, tell us your story. Have you ever been ignored without reason? Let's turn confusion into wisdom together. Number 1. Stop reacting. It's a trap to measure your desperation. Sometimes silence isn't silence, it's a trap. One day they're all in, talking, laughing, checking in, then suddenly nothing. Cold energy, delayed replies, or worse, complete disappearance. And your mind goes racing. Did I do something wrong? Did I miss a sign? But stop right there, because this isn't always about them losing interest. It's about them testing your emotional temperature, seeing if you'll panic, chase, or prove yourself the moment they pull away. This is a manipulation tactic, quiet, sneaky, and dangerous. It's not about feelings, it's about control. When someone goes quiet to see how you'll react, they're watching for a weakness. Will you double text, over-apologize, beg for their attention? If you do, they win. They now know their silence has power over your peace. And that power, that's what they wanted all along. Imagine you're in a game of tug-of-war. They're pulling, you're pulling, there's tension. Then suddenly, they drop the rope. Not because they're done, but because they want to see if you'll fall flat on your face reaching for what's no longer there. But here's the move that changes everything. Don't pick it back up. Don't chase. Don't explain. Don't react. As the Stoics teach us, he who needs least from others is the most powerful. When you stop needing their response to feel validated, you win the game they hoped you'd lose. That's real strength. Not silence out of pride, but silence out of power. I learned this the hard way. Someone close to me used to disappear whenever I got busy or focused on myself. At first I assumed it was coincidence. Then one day I stayed silent too. No chasing, no fixing. And sure enough, They came back like nothing ever happened. That's when it hit me. It was never about distance, it was about control. So if someone pulls away just to see how hard you'll chase, don't give them the reaction they're fishing for. Give them your peace. Let them sit in their silence while you rise in your power. Number 2, cut off those who only come around for what you give. One of the most painful things is realizing someone was never really there for you. They were just there for what you gave. Maybe it was your kindness, your support, your time, your energy, or even just the way you made them feel about themselves. And when that benefit ran out, so did they. At first, it feels personal. They were so warm, so involved, so connected. Then suddenly, cold silence. No replies, no check-ins, nothing. You replay every conversation in your head thinking, did I upset them? Did I say something wrong? But the truth is often much simpler and much colder. They didn't lose interest, they lost access. Some people treat you like a charging station. As long as they're plugged into you, getting what they need, validation, comfort, help, they're happy. But the second they feel charged or find a new outlet, they unplug. No thank you, no goodbye, just gone. And here's the kicker. It's not because you stopped giving, it's because you started noticing. You started pulling back, even a little, and the moment they sensed you weren't as available, they disappeared. That silence wasn't confusion, it was confirmation. Epictetus said, attach yourself to what is true, not to what is temporary. And that's the lesson. Stop tying your worth to people who only show up when they need something. Start paying attention to who still calls when you have nothing to give. I've lived this. I had someone in my life who was always there, but only when they needed advice, support, or a listening ear. I never questioned it. Until one day, I didn't reach out. I waited to see if they would. They didn't. That's when I understood. They were never showing up for me. They were just collecting what I had to give. So here's your power move. Don't chase people who vanish when the benefits run out. Let them go. Real connection isn't built on transactions. It's built on care. And the ones who stay when you have nothing left to give, those are the ones who were always real. Number 3, never trust someone who listens to gossip over you. It's one of the most frustrating feelings when someone changes on you overnight. No argument, no explanation, just a sudden shift. One day they're friendly and warm, the next cold and distant, like a stranger wearing your friend's face. You wonder what went wrong. You replay conversations. You blame yourself. But the truth? You didn't change. They did. Or rather, someone changed them. Some people don't think for themselves. They let whispers do their thinking. They hear one lie, one twisted version of your story, and instead of coming to you, they believe it. No questions. No facts, just blind faith in someone else's opinion. That's not maturity. That's weakness. It's like a leaf in the wind. A strong tree stays rooted no matter how hard the wind blows. But a weak leaf, it spins, it sways, it flies wherever the storm takes it. That's how weak minds work, tossed around by gossip, incapable of standing still in truth. And here's where the wisdom hits. A mind that can be easily swayed was never truly yours. If someone can be convinced to see you differently without ever hearing your side, they were never really on your side. That's not a friend, that's a placeholder. I had someone like that in my life once. We were close, no drama, no tension. Then suddenly, radio silence. Later, I found out they had heard something false about me. But instead of asking me directly, they just vanished. I could have explained. I could have fought for clarity. but I didn't. Because the truth is, if someone won't give you the chance to speak, they were never listening to begin with. Months later, they circled back, regret in their voice. But by then, I had already let them go, in my heart and in my life. So let this be your reminder. Don't chase explanations. Don't argue with whispers. Let the wind carry the weak away. And keep building your life where roots run deep. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this truth today. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever been ignored after you started evolving? Your story might help someone else feel seen. Let's grow together. Number 4. Walk away when they can't handle the new boundaries. What happens when you stop playing their game and start standing your ground? Here's something people don't talk about enough. When you stop letting others control you, their love, attention, and interest start to fade. Not because you became a worse version of yourself, but because you finally became harder to manipulate. And for some, that's enough reason to walk away. People who rely on control don't like change, especially when that change means they can't push your buttons anymore. The moment you start setting boundaries, standing up for yourself, or saying no without guilt, watch how fast they pull back. It's confusing at first. You wonder, what happened? Did I do something wrong? But look deeper. Their coldness didn't come from your behavior, it came from your strength. It's like cutting the strings on a puppet. As long as you moved how they wanted, they stayed close. But once the strings are gone and you move on your own, they lose interest. Not in you, but in the power they no longer have. And that right there, that's the truth they'll never admit. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When your thoughts shift from pleasing to protecting, from explaining to owning, your soul changes, and not everyone can handle that. I've been there. Someone once made me feel like my choices always needed their approval. Every disagreement turned into a guilt trip. Every boundary became a problem. I thought if I just kept the peace, things would improve. But the more I bent, the more they pulled. So one day I stopped. No argument, no dramatic scene. I just chose peace over pressure. And just like that, they disappeared. At first, it stung. Then it felt like fresh air. It wasn't a loss, it was release. So if someone drifts when you stop playing by their rules, let them. It means they were never there for your soul, just your submission. Keep standing your ground. Keep choosing yourself. That's not selfish. That's survival. Number 5. Don't shrink for those who feel small around your growth. What if your growth isn't the problem? It's their insecurity. Here's something they won't say out loud. Some people pull away not because you did anything wrong, but because you started rising, and your growth shines a light on everything they refuse to work on. As long as you stayed the same, they were fine, comfortable, connected. But the moment you start evolving, changing your mindset, building discipline, improving yourself, they start getting quiet. Not because you hurt them, but because you stopped being easy to stand next to. The truth is, not everyone is cheering for your success. Some are just hoping you'll stay small enough to never outgrow them. And when you don't, they distance themselves, not out of hate, but out of fear. Fear that your progress exposes their stagnation. Fear that your focus makes their excuses look weak. It's not your glow that bothers them, it's what your glow reflects back at them. Think of growth like a mountain. In the beginning, you're side by side with someone, walking the same trail, but then you start pushing higher, climbing faster, driven by something inside you. And suddenly, they slow down. They say, "You're changing," but what they mean is, I can't keep up. Instead of being inspired, they feel left behind, and rather than climb with you, they'd rather criticize you from below. I had a friend just like that. At first, he cheered me on, but the more I grew, the colder he became. The jokes got sharper, the invites stopped, and when I finally asked what changed, he just shrugged and said, "You're trying too hard." That's when I realized it wasn't me, it was him. I didn't outgrow the friendship. I outgrew who I needed to be to keep it alive. So here's your lesson. Don't shrink to fit into places you've already outgrown. If someone feels small in your presence, let them go with grace. Your growth isn't a threat, it's a mirror. And those who truly belong in your life, they won't compete with your progress, they'll rise with it. Number 6. When you see their true colors, believe them the first time. What if the moment you saw their truth was the moment they had to leave? Not everyone disappears because you pushed them away. Some vanish the second you see through them. The lies, the games, the quiet manipulation. Once exposed, they can't survive in your presence anymore. They don't run because you're mean. They run because the mask slipped. And now, they can't hide. People who rely on deception need darkness. Half-truths, guilt trips, subtle control. It only works when you're too confused to question it. But the moment you stop tolerating it, the game ends. They can no longer rewrite reality, and so they flee. Not because they were hurt, but because they were seen. Think of walking into a dim room. It looks fine, calm, nothing obviously wrong, but flip on the light, and everything changes. Dust, clutter, hidden mess. It was always there, just not visible. That's what happens when you stop being blind to someone's manipulation. The light of truth exposes what was always hiding in plain sight. And the truth? It makes the wrong people uncomfortable. As Stoic wisdom says, the truth only offends those living a lie. The genuine ones, they'll welcome it, but those who thrive in confusion and control, they'll claim you've changed, that you're too intense. But what they really mean is, you stopped letting me use you. I had someone in my life who always played the victim, always the misunderstood one. I defended them, gave them the benefit of the doubt. But then I started paying attention. Tiny lies, emotional inconsistencies, stories that didn't add up. One day I stopped nodding. I asked direct questions. Their response? Anger, distance, disappearing. They didn't walk away because I hurt them. They walked away because their lies no longer worked. So if someone runs the moment you stop tolerating their mask, let them. Don't regret seeing the truth. Don't chase the shadows. Real relationships survive honesty. The fake ones, they vanish in the light. And that's not a loss. That's freedom. Number 7. Accept the silence. It's a filter, not a rejection. What if being ignored wasn't rejection, but protection? At first it stings. Someone you cared about slowly starts disappearing. Less calls, fewer messages, distant energy. And before you know it, the silence gets louder. You replay every word, every moment, wondering what you did wrong. But here's the truth you need to hear. Being ignored isn't always a loss. Sometimes it's life doing you a favor. It's not rejection, it's redirection. A filter, not a failure. See, people don't always walk away because you hurt them. Sometimes they leave because they were never meant to stay. Their absence doesn't mean you lacked value. It means they lacked depth. And instead of mourning that silence, you need to start seeing it for what it really is. Clarity, a clearing, a gift you didn't know you needed. Think of a tree in autumn. The leaves turn and fall, not because the tree is dying, but because it's preparing for something new, stronger roots, fresh growth. That's what happens when people fade. It's nature's way of shedding what no longer serves your future. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The silence you fear. It's the opening. It's space being made for better connections, deeper bonds, real alignment. I had a friend once who seemed constant, always around, always friendly. But one day, gone. No fight, no explanation, just silence. I almost reached out, ready to fix what I didn't break. But something told me to pause. Weeks passed, no word. And then I saw it clearly. I was the glue. I was holding something together that would have fallen apart without my effort. That silence. It answered questions I didn't even know I was asking. So if someone vanishes, let them. If they can leave without a word, they were never really there in the first place. Don't grieve what walked away. Give thanks. Because that space they left, that's exactly where someone real is about to walk in. Number 8. If your light makes them uncomfortable, burn brighter anyway. Not everyone can handle your glow. Some people loved you when you played small, when your dreams were quiet, your boundaries were soft, and your energy didn't shake their comfort zone. But the moment you started to rise, something changed. Their warmth faded. The compliments turned into subtle jabs. The support? Gone. They didn't grow cold because you hurt them. They grew cold because your light started to expose what they weren't willing to face in themselves. Here's the truth they won't say out loud. Your growth is a mirror, and when people see you evolving, improving, becoming more of who you're meant to be, it forces them to confront everything they've been avoiding. And instead of rising with you, they retreat, they criticize, they vanish. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because deep down they feel left behind. But don't you dare shrink. Don't dim yourself to keep their comfort intact. You weren't born to be hidden. You were born to rise, to shine, to become. And if your light makes someone uncomfortable, that's their shadow to deal with, not your problem to fix. Think of it like a bright lamp in a dark room. Some people will be drawn to it, warmed by it. Others will flinch, cover their eyes and run. That doesn't mean the light is too much. It means they've been in the dark for too long. As Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. Let them be bothered. Let them gossip. Let them distance themselves. You just keep glowing. Because real ones won't ask you to turn it down. They'll adjust their vision and rise with you. Keep burning, and let those who can't handle your fire fade. And here's what it all comes down to. Being ignored isn't always about what you did wrong. Sometimes it's about what you're doing right. When your growth makes others uncomfortable, when your presence becomes too strong to be controlled, some people will simply disappear. Let them. Their silence is your clarity. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this truth today. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever been ignored after you started evolving? Your story might help someone else feel seen. Let's grow together.